Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Konia and it's time for another math video. So last time we talked about proper fractions in our video. This time we're going to be talking about improper fractions, and we're also going to be talking about mixed numbers. Make sure you have your journal and a pencil out. We're going to start our first slide by writing down a math term. So the first math term we're going to write down is mixed number. And a mixed number is a number that is made up of a whole number and a fraction. So I have an example right here. This is an example of a mixed number, 1 and 5/8. So it is a mixed number because, like we read in the definition, it's made up of a whole number, the number 1, and a fraction, 5/8. So when you see a number written out in this way, you'll know that this is called a mixed number. So let's take a look at this mixed number, 1 and 5/8. And another way that we can think about it is that we're saying we have a whole, the number 1, plus a fraction of 5/8. I have a little picture here for you to look at to illustrate this mixed number. So we have two pizzas here, and the first pizza represents our whole, number 1. So this is a whole pizza. No one has come and taken a slice out of it. All of the 8 slices are still there. So that is our number 1, our whole. There are 8 slices still remaining. Now on our second pizza, we see that there were 8 slices, but 3 people have come and taken a slice of pizza. And so now there's only 5 remaining. And so 5 out of the 8 pieces are left. So this is a picture of what 1 and 5/8 looks like. So let's take a look at a word problem. Our word problem says, Aunt Kate has some pies to serve for dessert. She has 1 and 5/8 pies. How many people can Aunt Kate serve dessert to? Well, in order to figure out this problem, we need to know how many total slices of pie Aunt Kate has. So let's take a look at a picture here. Here's our same picture. This should look really familiar. And this illustrates 1 and 5/8. So we see that we have 2 pies here, and they both have been divided up into 8 slices. This is the total number of slices of pie that Aunt Kate has. Well, if we want to write this out in fraction form, we would need to convert this whole pie, which right now we're calling 1, our whole number. We're going to convert that to a fraction, and we're going to call it 8/8, because all 8 slices of this pie are there. So 8/8 is what our first pie is. Our second pie is represented by the fraction 5/8. So all we need to do in order to figure out how many slices of pie Aunt Kate has is we just need to add those 2 fractions together. And when we're adding fractions, we start by adding the numerator, and the numerators are 8 and 5 in this case. We add those together and we get the number 13, and then we simply bring the same denominator over. So in this case, we can say that Aunt Kate has 13/8. That is her total number of slices of pie that she has. So she has 13 slices of pie that she can serve. So she can serve a slice of pie to 13 people. Now, I want to point out this fraction that we ended up with. We ended up with the fraction 13/8. Now this fraction is something called an improper fraction. This is another math term that I want you to write down in your journal. An improper fraction is when the numerator is larger than the denominator. So here's some examples. We see 13/8, and we also see 17/7. So these are improper fractions when the numerator, the top number, is larger than the denominator. And an improper fraction is a fraction that is not in its lowest or simplest form. I want you to remember that. We're going to be coming back to that in just a bit. Let's take a look at another mixed number. And what we're going to do is we are going to turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. So we're going to turn it into a fraction that has a larger number as the numerator and a smaller number as the denominator. So the first thing we're going to do is we have to take this whole number, the number 2, and we have to turn it into a fraction or fractions. So the first thing you need to think about is, what is our denominator going to be? Well, we're going to use the exact same denominator that we see here in the 3/7. And so our denominator is going to be 7. So I want you to think, if you had 2 wholes, how many sevenths would be in each one of those wholes? Well, it would be 7 sevenths. 7 sevenths equals 1 whole, and we have 2 wholes, so we have 7 sevenths plus 7 sevenths. Then we need to add in our 3 sevenths that we see right here in our mixed number. And when we add those all together, we do 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 3 equals 17, and then we just move our denominator all the way over. So we have turned 2 and 3 sevenths into an improper fraction of 17 sevenths. Now this is one way that we can write this equation, but there's another way that we could write an equation, and we can use multiplication. It would look like this. We would say 2 times 7 sevenths plus 3 sevenths. So it basically is the same thing. We would just take that 2 and we would multiply it by the numerator 7. We would get 14, and then we'd add that to 3, and we would end up with 17 sevenths. So however you want to write it, whether with addition or multiplication, either way is fine. So let's take a look at these two mixed numbers. And what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to pause the video, and I want you to take a couple minutes to turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. Good job. Okay, so what we're going to begin by doing is we're going to first take a look at 2 and 5/6. And we're going to say that the number 2, which is our whole number, can be rewritten as 6/6. And so because we have 2 whole numbers, we need to have 6/6 plus 6/6. Okay, then we add our fraction of 5/6. We add all of those numerators together, and we get 17, and then we move over our denominator. Now for 3 and 9/10, we're going to rename 3 as 10/10. We're going to do that 3 times. Then we're going to add our 9/10. When we add those numerators all together, we get 39, and our denominator is 10. So this is how we turn a mixed number into an improper fraction. So now we're going to take this improper fraction, 12/3. Remember, our definition for improper fraction is that the numerator is larger than the denominator. We're going to take this improper fraction of 12/3 and we're going to rename it as a whole number or a mixed number. So first we're going to think about how many wholes that we can make with 12/3. And so let's take a look at a picture to help us. So here we have some thirds, okay? We have 12/3 to be exact if you count them up. And we can see that we can divide up those 12/3 into 4 even groups, okay? Each one of those groups has 3. And so we have 4 equal groups of thirds right here. Now we can see that 12/3 could also be written as 3/3 plus 3/3 plus 3/3 plus 3/3, and that gives us 12/3. And what we're going to do, because like I said at the beginning, we're going to rename this improper fraction into a mixed number or a whole number. So we're going to decide, how can we do that? How can we rename it? Well, we need to look at our improper fraction of 12/3 and we need to decide how many times can that number 3, our denominator, go into our numerator. And so quick little multiplication, think about your multiplication facts, and we know that 3 times 4 gives us 12. So 3 can go into 12 4 times. So 12/3 can also be written as 4. So that is how we would turn an improper fraction into a whole number. So let's take a look at this improper fraction, 9/4. And we want to rename this as either a mixed number or a whole number. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves that same question, How many wholes can we make out of 9/4? Well, we know that we can make 2 wholes. Okay, we see that we have 2 wholes right there. If you count up all those fourths, you get 8, and we have 1/4 left over all by itself. And so we can say that we could name these 4/4 plus 4/4, and then we have another 1/4. So 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 1/4 gives us 9/4. Now we're going to take that improper fraction and we're going to rename it. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our wholes, and we have 2 wholes. We have 4/4 plus 4/4, so that's going to give us a 2, and then we have that 1/4 left over, and so we add that onto the 2, and so our 9/4 can be renamed as a mixed number of 2 and 1/4. Okay, now we're going to talk specifically about how we change an improper fraction to a mixed number. So let's look at this improper fraction of 9/4. Now, how are we going to change that into a mixed number? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You are just going to divide the denominator into the numerator. So you're going to divide 4 into 9. Now, 4 goes into 9 twice. There's your whole number. So 2 times 4 is going to give you 8. You're going to subtract that from 9, and you're going to have 1 left over. Now that 1 is going to be your fraction of your mixed number. So you're going to take that up to the top, and you're going to keep the same denominator that you had from your original improper fraction. And so 9/4 renamed as a mixed number is 2 and 1/4. Here's another improper fraction. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to follow what I did on the last slide, and I would like for you to rename this improper fraction as a mixed number. Remember, you're going to divide the denominator into the numerator. Good job. Okay, so we see that we divided 17 by 6. 6 goes into 17 twice. 2 times 6 is going to give you 12. We're subtracting that from 17, and we get 5. And so we have our whole number of 2. We're going to add on our fraction, which would be 5/6. So 17/6 renamed as a mixed number is 2 and 5/6. Why don't you try another one? Go ahead and pause the video and rename 54/3 as a mixed number. Good job. Okay, so let's do this one together. So we are going to divide 54 by 3. 3 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. We're going to subtract and get 2. Let's bring that 4 down. 3 goes into 24 8 times, and we have no remainder. So 54/3 can actually be a number of 18. Let's take another minute to pause, and I want you to practice 2 more times renaming these 2 improper fractions as mixed numbers or whole numbers. Good job. Okay, let's take a look at 18/5. So 5 into 18. You should have had 3 times 5 will give you 15 with a remainder of 3. So we have 3 and 3/5. And 28, we're dividing 10 into 28. 2 times 10 gives you 20, a remainder of 8. So we have 2 and 8/10. Now here's one more practice problem that we are going to do, and we're going to do a word problem. So this word problem says, for an afternoon snack, Aunt Kate let her 3 nephews share 5 large cookies. How many cookies did each nephew receive? Well, let's take a look at this picture. So here we have the 3 nephews, and here we have the 5 cookies. So first we're going to distribute as evenly as we can all of the cookies. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give each nephew 1 cookie. We still have 2 cookies remaining, But we can divide up those 2 cookies into thirds. And if we divide each one up into thirds, then each one of the nephews can get a third of the remaining cookies. So let's divide up that first one, and let's divide up that second one. So Aunt Kate could give her 3 nephews each 1 2/3 cookies. All right, you guys did a great job on this latest video. I'm proud of you for all the hard work that I've seen. Your assignment for today is, of course, your video notes. And then I would also like for you to do in your workbook, page 82, numbers 1 through 3. And the math joke of the day is, why did the student eat her math homework? Because her teacher told her it was a piece of cake. Well, I hope this video was a piece of cake, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.